Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esterlin welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Like the lady said, I am Mike Heck. Thank you for joining us on another Thursday in the middle of a rare week off for the UFC. But no worries, still a lot to talk about on this week's program. So let us introduce the combatants. This should be a fun one, ladies and gentlemen. First, let's say hello to the hot take kid himself, Mr. No Gray Area, the master of the belly flop and the Baron of Boop, along with 18,000 other nicknames he's been given from MMAfighting.com, Jed Bashu. Hi, buddy. How's Atlanta? Some big golf in your city this weekend, eh?
There's some fairly sizable golf going down, actually very close to where I live, too. It's like I could ride my bike over to Eastlake. It's great. College football's about to start on Saturday. Clemson's about to get the boots from my dogs. And as we make our inexorable march to, championship number 3 of the Kirby era, it's going to be great. Great week. Happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And making his second appearance on the show, the first in this particular format. First time he was on, he joined us right before UFC 292 from a hotel lobby in Boston, Massachusetts, along with our friend Jose Youngs. This man is also heading to Spain in October, and he's going to be competing at BKFC 67 against Ben the Bane Davis. What in the effing world is going on here? From the Mac Life and every event this man can travel throughout the year, he is the great Oscar Willis. Where is he? There
Hello.
he is, you handsome devil. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. There's no golf here in Las Vegas, but I'll be hitting some hole-in-ones today.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
You're perfect for the show. You're perfect. Real quick, Oscar. We talked briefly on WhatsApp, texted a couple times, but you know how it is in this sport. You get overwhelmed and you forget about stuff. How the hell did this fight happen? You versus Ben Davis, BKFC. I didn't see this coming from a mile away. I know you teased some things when we did the weigh-in stream before, I think 305 or 304. I don't remember which one it was, but didn't see you take it a BKFC fight.
Yeah, there's this phrase in the UK. It's sort of a bit like Hakuna Matata. It's called for the bants. And I just decided I would do a bare knuckle fight for jokes, really. I just thought it'd be a fun way to spend my summer. And so I hit up Ben. I was like, hey, would you like to get hit in the head for money? And he said, okay. And then we worked it out with BKFC and it came together. It's pretty cool.
Wow. How has co-owner Conor McGregor reacted to all of this? He must be beside himself. Is he going to be there ringside watching this go down?
I believe he's going to be there ringside watching it go down, yeah. And so I'll get some of that legendary corner work that he does, when he's shouting at Eddie and Chad Mendes, which I'm sure won't be distracting. And then I think he called me a mad bastard, and he said amazing, and that was about it. But it was cool. I think he's excited about it.
I think we're all excited about it. It's still unbelievable to me. Jed, what did you think when you saw this news?
I mean, how are you going to handle the Bane pressure? I mean, that trademark pressure that took him to victory in karate combat. Do you think the equalizer can manage it out,
I mean, it's going to be tricky, right? He looks like he looks forward to being in control. So maybe I'll just have to push back on that and just take one step back, straight down the pipe. Bob's your uncle. Easy.
When you knock Ben out, are you then going to call for Platinum Mike Perry, or are you a couple of fights away from shooting that high?
Well, obviously, look, Conor's an owner of BKFC. I wouldn't want to take out their biggest star this soon. So I'll probably leave Mike alone for a while. No, actually, what I was thinking about was being a real dick and getting a belt made, BMF, baddest media fella, winning the fight, and then immediately retiring so no one could ever fight me for it, and then just claiming that victory for the rest of my career. Even showing up to the MMA awards, being like, I didn't win Journalist of the Year, but I got this belt. I mean, it would be phenomenal. Everyone would respect that, right? I wouldn't be a loser.
Story of the
year.
year.
Great idea. If you don't retire immediately, Casey will hunt you down.
Well, exactly. That's exactly why I'd retire. I've sparred Casey, and I would not take that fight. I would run like the coward that I am. Sorry, Casey, you don't get it. It's my belt, mine forever.
Casey, no sleeves as always, just bringing that intimidation factor. Well, Oscar, it's nice to see you getting in a fist fight because there are others who have been heavily debated to be the best on planet Earth who haven't done a whole hell of a lot of that, but we're going to get into that later on.
He's an active fighter.
Yeah.
We're going to, you save that venom. You save that venom. Before we get there, though, let's put a bow on UFC Vegas 96. Happened at the world's most famous Apex in Las Vegas this past Saturday. And I got to tell you, it was a fun-ass card, especially the main card. Really fun fights. We had some big finishes, some storylines. It didn't feel like a slog, even though it started way later than it should have. But it ended with a great scrap between Caio Borralho and Jared Cannonier. And in the end, Borralho gets it done. Unanimous decision. And this man is now won 16 in a row, Jed Meshew. He's now 7-0 in the UFC. What did you think of Caio's performance in his first main event? Were you blown away? Do you still have questions, I guess?
Well, do I even need to answer this? Like, we all know Oscar's getting the point this round. So, like, it's kind of unnecessary for me to talk about Caio. But that was dope. I mean, it was very silly. Him not shooting takedowns is one of those things where it worked out, and so it's pretty cool. But if he loses that fight, you know, if something goes astray in the final round, he gets knocked out, then the conversation is, hey, man, Jared Cannonier, you're not the best defensive wrestler. You probably should have done that. But instead, he gets the best of both worlds. Call out, whatever, is bad, but it's fine. Who cares? Because it doesn't really matter if your call out is that, you know, it is nonsensical when you deliver the best performance of your career in the biggest spot. And that's what he did, right? Like, Jared Cannonier is by far the biggest opposition Caio Borralho has ever faced. And he comes out and frankly should have been a stoppage. Like, in any other world, that is just finished in the final round when Cannonier goes limp and craters to the canvas. But I don't even remember who the referee was. He woke up and chose violence, and he really wanted to see some more shots get in. But that's just an unbelievable performance from him. And this is the part of middleweight that I am excited for. At the beginning of this year, Mike, we were talking about is middleweight sneaky, like the most exciting division, interesting division? I didn't really agree, but I did think the middleweight has an opportunity to be very interesting with a crop of guys coming up. And now we might start to get that. This is kind of the first dude who gets to jump into the upper echelon. I mean, I guess Nasruddin Imavov broke into the top 5, but he's Nasruddin Imavov. But like, Michel Pereira is going to start getting opportunities. Bo Nickel's still on the come up. We have more dudes ascending, or at least having opportunities to crack up. Ikram Aliskerov, got a chance. And once that happens and we start getting the next generation of dudes to come through, that'll be pretty fun, because we've played with all of the Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori action figures. We got to get some new action figures into the box, and it seems like we're about to start having that transition happen.
Oscar, what say you? What did you think of Caio Borralho's performance?
Yeah, look, I think it's the performance he needed, right? And to Jed's point, if Jared had won, it would have been a great win for him, but then we'd have been left with the same 5 guys at the top of the division. You need these new blood guys to come through every so often. I don't know if, Caio's call out of the champion was necessarily the right move. In fact, it's one of those ones that sort of make you go, okay. But the next fight, I think, will push him right to the top. I think this is where, they had Sean O'Malley and they put him against PD Yan to just insert him into that title picture. I think they'll do the same with Caio now. I thought, it should have been stopped. Jared slumped to the floor in slow motion in like a tower falling over. It was bizarre. And then they just let him get hit awake again. I thought that was wild. But yeah, great performance. New blood. Division's looking nice.
So
Oscar, when you
want to
slump Ben like that, are you going to follow up, or are you just going to walk off KO it?
I'm going to do the people's elbow right away, just straight away. And then, and then I was thinking of even climbing the ropes.
Run the ropes?
Just leaping into the crowd, swinging at anyone who moves. I thought that would be the cool thing. Set up the new thing right there. Just, attack. Even if it's an elderly lady, she'll fucking get it. I don't care. It's anyone can get it.
There are a lot of elderly ladies at the front row of BKFC events of that, true. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the DDP call at Oscar, because barring something incredibly weird happening, he's not getting that fight. And I think the whole world knows he's not getting that fight. And I'm not sure how you are on the does the call out matter conversation, But I felt like this is an absolute miss. When there is another very big name out there that would have stolen some headlines that we'd be talking about with praise probably on this program, in a fight that realistically he could get and gain a ton from should he win. Israel Adesanya was the obvious name for me. Was this sort of a wasted call-out? Because I feel like with this call-out, yeah, he's going to get a big fight. He's going to fight probably the Brendan Allen, Nasruddin Imavov winner now, when he probably, with a good call-out and some good mic time, he might have gotten that Izzy fight.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not necessarily the name obviously does matter, but it's how you call them out, right? If he'd have just gone Israel Adesanya, people would have gone, that's a good call out. That fight makes sense, but he might not have got it. If he'd have been like, Israel, I'm the new middleweight. You're the old guy. I'm coming to take your spot. And I'm sorry. I love you. I respect you, but you're gone. I'm here. Then people would have been like, okay, let's see that fight. I think that is probably the fight he should have called for. It makes the most sense to me. So yeah, and I think the fact that we're sitting here ignoring his call out and being like, yeah, that's nice, but no, we want to see this, shows that his call out was kind of a miss, right? If you're calling someone out, you need it to be like Michael Chandler calling out Conor after the Tony Ferguson fight, right? That was perfect. You even need to have that, or you need to do Joaquin Buckley calling out Conor, where it's so shit that people ridicule you and keep you in the news cycle after the fact. This one wasn't either of them. It was just one of those ones where you sort of go, ignore that, we'll decide for you.
Jed, did he do the thing here? Because I didn't think this was very good. I really didn't. He didn't do the thing. He did the thing last time and got the exact fight he wanted. Hey, Cannonier, main event. Let's go. And he got it. It was well done. It was perfectly said. And then he went back to the DP well, and nobody gave a shit.
He didn't do the thing. I will push back on Oscar's contention that Joaquin Buckley did even failed like upwards. Like, no, never do something so bad that you're like roundly mocked by everyone. All media is not good media. Like, it's just that is a lie. That is not true. And then to double down as Buckley has continued to do, to now be beefing with Daniel Cormier. Like, he didn't do that, which is, at least that's a plus. No, he should have called Izzy. Like, that was such a layup for him to miss, frankly. It's a little weird. But I listened to the post show, and while I'm loath to agree with the villain New York Rick, I don't actually agree with him either. Like, I see where he's coming from, and I do think that this isn't the worst outcome, right? Like, yes, Izzy was doing the thing. If your thing is just going to be relentlessly calling for the champion, and by the champion I mean Dricus du Plessis, I can kind of get behind that. If just every call out is you being like, Dricus du Plessis, let's go. Dricus du Plessis, let's go. Like, if you do enough of those, eventually you get there. And so if that's your gimmick, that's your shtick, I'm okay with it. But no, obviously Izzy, because I think he gets the Izzy fight. Izzy is saying he wants to compete again before the end of the year. He may still get the fight, frankly, but you got to throw your name in the hat. And he did not do that with his call out, if maybe he did it with his performance.
Now that he's officially a top 5 middleweight in this division, at least in the UFC rankings, Jed, what's the ceiling on him? Do you look at him after this performance and say, man, he's real good if he fights for the belt? If he does get the DDP fight, he has a very good chance to win. Do you feel like he's a perennial top 10 guy? Like, how do you view him now?
Top 10 guy, but that's the majesty of Dricus du Plessis, Mike. Anyone who fights him could win. Like, nobody will watch a DDP fight and be like, that guy can't be beaten. Like, actually, I see how he can be beaten. He just doesn't get beaten. He exists in all phases at all times, and it's amazing. So, could Caio Borralho beat him? Absolutely. Could Caio Borralho come out and just get mollywopped because Dricus du Plessis is a hoss? Yeah, like, he's been doing it to better people than Caio Borralho, frankly. So, he absolutely has a chance to win the belt. I wouldn't pick him because I won't pick anyone to beat DDP, but I would never be astonished if they beat him. By the same token, I mean, what we saw Saturday is that Caio Borralho, we know he's a very good grappler. Like, we are very aware of that at this point in time. And we saw his striking game has developed. He was rocking the shoulder roll a lot. He was moving on angles, which is stunning. You very rarely see people moving in and out on angles. Look, there's a lot that he could still work on, but like, he has a complete, well-rounded game that is a legitimate problem in all phases. So I think the dude is certainly going to be hanging around the top 10 for the next few years. And if catches the right breaks, has a good night at the right time, yeah, he could win the belt. I don't think he's going to be the next long reigning middleweight champion, but shit, most people would have thought that about DDP like 3 years ago, and he's not there yet, but he's not that far away from it either. So, he's good. He's a really good fighter. I enjoy watching him fight.
What's Borralho's ceiling, Oscar? What's sort of your gauge after this win over Jared Cannonier?
I'm a big believer in momentum in MMA, and that team, the Fighting Nerds, have like a lot of momentum right now. So yeah, obviously where his ceiling is related to that, I don't know. I think it's a funny division, right? Like like Jed was saying, anyone could realistically beat DDP unless he falls on top of you and somehow knocks you out with it, which is what he seems to do. But I think with Cal, if he did fight Israel, the Israel that fought DDP, I would still pick that Adesanya. But I mean, I think against Costa, you would probably pick Cal. I think against even Strickland. The middleweight's a weird one. There's all these fighters that look terrible and yet still win. So I don't really know you can't really judge him against them, because you'd say like, oh, Strickland, he could beat Strickland, but then Strickland will, do that and, beat him over 5 rounds. So his ceiling, I'd say 5. I'd say he's around, like, he's in the top 5. Whether he can beat that next echelon of Adesanya, Strickland, Whitaker, and DDP, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I think he's the top 5 fighter.
He could definitely win a weird decision against Sean Strickland, because anyone can do that as well. Like, he can just not do enough and you can win a bad split decision. It happens all the time.
Sport's wild. That's middleweight. It's fun. Caio Borralho, typically a guy who just goes for the W, doesn't care what it looks like. This time a little bit different. So we'll see where he goes from here. I know where we're going. We're going up to heavyweight. We're going to the big talking point of the week. The point for round 1 goes to Jed. Put that finger away. You get the point. 1-0. How about that?
That's ridiculous.
That was very smart. Somehow
Oscar's
you got confetti.
Fist fighting somebody. How do I get a point?
Oscar is going to get... There'll be points coming Oscar's way. Don't you worry. You guys.
He's fist fighting Bane, who, and as he noted, Bane has all the momentum right now.
Yeah. I'm fisting Bane. It's gotta give me credit for that.
Come on, more confetti. How are you doing this?
And demonetize the video. Got it.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. This is my strategy from a rival outlet. I just come on and sabotage your show.
Well done. Well done. Well, let's get to this topic of the week, and somehow, some way, this just continues to be that. Guys, I don't know if you're aware of this. I want you to bring everybody up on screen right now, Casey, if you could. But Dana White, where is everybody? I want to get your reactions. Okay, there they are. He thinks Jon Jones is the best fighter of all time, and he thinks Jon Jones is the best fighter on planet Earth currently. And boy, this took on a whole new meaning Tuesday night after the Contender Series. Dana has quadrupled down on this. I believe this is a 12 to 15 minute back and forth with members of the media. And let's be honest, we say it all the time, especially on this show. These conversations about pound for pound and GOAT are dumb because it's based on what you believe it's true, and it's all really subjective. But I had a great time watching this on Wednesday as members of the media battle back against this take, especially the pound for pound topic. And it led to this debate about whether or not Jon Jones should even be considered an active fighter when guys like Islam Makhachev and Alex Pereira, etc., have been putting in the work the past several years and fighting 2-3 times a year. Well, Jon has only had 1 fight since the Dominic Reyes win in 2020. So, Oscar, I'm glad you're here because you were in the room. You were there. You've been there for a lot of these pressers where this friggin' topic comes up. What was it like on Tuesday night? Paint us a word picture.
Well, first of all, I want to shout out, you said the media were battling against Dana. It was really Kevin Iole, and I hope someone's giving a wellness check to make sure he's still alive, unless Dana had him killed this morning. But yeah, it was, to be honest, I thought the scrum had sort of run its course, and then it erupted into this like legitimate debate. And frankly, I wanted to go home because I was bored. So I was like, oh my God, let's wrap this up. But no, it was very interesting to see. And fair play to Kevin for actually telling Dana, like, oh, you're just talking over with me right now. We're not even speaking. And Dana had to back down. I thought that was wild. Yeah, I'm kind of come at this from three angles in terms of Dana's motivation. One part of me thinks that there's an element of like, Jon's the greatest. Please fight one more time. Jon's the greatest. Please fight one more time. Another part of me thinks that maybe he's really being a good promoter, building Jon up while you have Tom Aspinall there to make that fight bigger in the background. Like, we're sort of denying this good guy his actual opportunity, and Dana's picking the bad guy. And so it sort of makes that fight bigger. Maybe that's the thing. Or thirdly, I think Dana just realizes the media disagree with him. And so therefore he's going to die before he agrees with us. And so this is like his new thing. Could be any of them.
Jed, what did you think of it? Because I believe you worked Tuesday night, you recapped the Contender Series, and then if you're on Contender Series duty, that means you watch the Dana Scrum and see if things come out of it. And you probably watched this live as it happened, right? What did you think of it?
Oh, sure did. I think Oscar's right. I think he's just dug his heels in and recognizes that the media disagrees with him. And so he is now just really, really driving in. It was very weird, like, because Dana knows that this is happening. He is aware of the narrative. And so he kind of opened the whole thing with have you guys heard Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time? Like a legitimately amusing joke to kind of break the ice there. And then I don't know how we got back here because no new information is being brought to this argument. Nothing new is happening. It is just the same. Well, Jon Jones isn't fighting people. Well, he's the greatest fighter of all time. And if you don't think so, you're dumb. And so it seemed like we would get through without. And frankly, thank you, Dana, because if you hadn't done this, it would have been a pretty tame, like boring post-Contender Series scrum. But once the train gets going, he's going to ride it all the way to its conclusion. Once Zioli asked the first kind of follow-up, and then it was like, well, we're in this room now, and we're going to be here until this is done. Like, this is it. We're locked in here with him now, and we're going on this ride. And the ride is very silly, and his arguments are just, like, objectively untrue. But that's fine. Like, you can have the opinion. My issue with all this has never been that what Dana is saying is wrong. I disagree with it's wrong. It's the contention that if you disagree with him, you're an idiot and shouldn't have a valid, like, you don't have a valid viewpoint. Sometimes hyperbolically, I may say something like that, but I recognize inherently that opinions are opinions. And Dana's like, no, this is a fact. And it's not a fact. Jon Jones is not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world because he hasn't fought in 17 months. So, like, it just is what it is, man. It was weird. I hope the next one of these, maybe we can talk about something different. But I don't think so, man. It feels like this is just going to be every Contender Series scrum is Jon Jones popping up, and we do this in perpetuity until Jon Jones beats that old retired firefighter and then leaves the sport.
I got to tell you. Like, I see social media just ripping on Dana and think he's just a moron for this. I think this is like the most entertaining he's been in years. Honestly, like we're getting like 2015 Dana with this argument alone, which is insane. And it's just theater. I'm enjoying it, especially, and I get it because I hand up, I am a stubborn prick myself. When I have my feet buried in and you think you got me all wrong, I'm just going to dig in deeper. Like, that's just how I am. And I've done this on this show and many other shows. And so I get where he's coming from. But Jed, I want to go back to you because I couldn't get this out of my mind as I'm watching this on Wednesday, because you brought it up here last week. That Stipe Miocic beating Jon Jones might be the funniest result in UFC history, especially now. If that happens, if we go into MSG and Stipe just goes in there and melts Jon, does he pivot right to Stipe? I mean, he is in so deep with this one right now, isn't he? What does he do if Stipe goes in there and just jaw jacks Jon Jones at Madison Square Garden?
It would be, I can't overstate this, my favorite thing that's ever happened in this sport. The amount of joy that will flood through my body, and I may actually levitate. Like, I may physically levitate off the ground from pure elation. if that happens. It won't. Stipe is an old retired firefighter who hasn't fought in like half a decade, so he's not going to do it. But if it happens, I think the only answer Dana can then go is just go on the offensive and not be like, this was dumb. Be like, see, I told you this fight was meaningful. You guys were all stupid in counting out Stipe, but he's the GOAT. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time. And you were all idiots who were like, John should fight Tom Aspinall, bury Stipe under the bus. Look at him. He's fine. And now Stipe is retiring and shit. Tom Aspinall, you now have to be the greatest fighter of all time, because it's the only way we know how to promote is by saying you're the best fighter ever. But he'll just go on the offensive and he'll smart from it. Like, there's no way he won't feel that pain, but he will just come out swinging in response. And it will just be fun to watch him flail around and to watch Jon Jones. God, can you imagine the tweets, the social, like over under on Jon Jones tweeting some form of "I dared to be great" at like 3 minutes after the event. That's what happens when you dare to be great. Fought the greatest heavyweight of all time for the first time I've been defeated. And actually, I was injured coming in. My pec never recovered or whatever. Like, the schadenfreude I would have. It would be the best. I need it. If you are out there, God, and I'm sure you are, and I know you're a BTL listener because everyone is, do this one for me. This one solid. It's all I'm asking, man. One-time dealer. I'm using it right now.
I feel like if John loses, they should do a public safety announcement and get the public like away from the city that he's in. I feel like it's a danger to everyone around him.
New York City, yes.
But just in general, dude. Like, look how he behaves when he wins. You know, it doesn't look like the most like self-confidence of people sometimes. Or, you know, I'd be a bit concerned if he lost a fight. There's a lot of people getting elbowed in the head in the club that night.
A lot of cop cars getting dented.
Very possible. Oscar, when this fight inevitably happens, we assume November, Madison Square Garden. If Stipe knocks out Jon Jones in the first round, and as you typically do when you go to these events, you want the Dana scrum after, because he's going to say a bunch of stuff, he's going to react to things, and people love to hear him react. How fast will you run to that press room to make sure you have a front row seat for this? Because you probably will anyways. You're Oscar freaking Willis, but will this be like the most like excited you will be for a Dana scrum in a long time if Stipe knocks out Jon Jones?
Well, Dana's never better than when he's in a really bad mood. That's when he's the funniest. That's when I enjoy it the most. That's when you ask him like an annoying question and sit there just like until he answers, because he knows that you're like winding him up. It's my favorite part of this job, to be honest. And so if we had the Bilal win post-press conference and then the Stipe win post-press conference in one calendar year, that's a good year for MMA. You can say what you want about the sport right now, but 2 Dana White upset press conferences, that's amazing. And then if you have Mike Tyson knocking out Mike Tyson the day before as well, that's a double whammy. So, yeah, it'll be good. I don't know if it'll happen, but it'll be curious. I'd be curious if John spoke. If John, also, by the way, they would book the rematch in the octagon. Like, neither John nor Stipe would get to see a doctor before they were fighting again in January. You know, so really and then they would just be like, right, now Spike Stipe's drink, John wins, we'll get the trilogy. Tom, sit down. You know, they would just make sure that never happened. So I think they would have a decent contingency plan. But yeah, as far as Dana's, he would just, like Jed said, just go like, well, I told you Stipe should have been in this fight. You guys wanted me to take Stipe out of this fight. Look what happens. You never know what's going to happen in this sport. You know, be one of them.
That would be, what a moment that would be. Holy cow.
Oscar, you missed the possibility of Merab beating Sean O'Malley.
Oh,
the same Merab that Dana has been like, this dude, what an idiot. The last
Pereira,
2 weeks.
Then Ankalaev goes out, steamrolls Rakic. They have to book him and Pereira, and they're just sitting there like,
what is happening? It's crumbling down around us.
Yeah. Sport's on fire. Yeah.
It's on fire. You just never know. It's the greatest sport in the world. Let's move on to an organization that could probably use a little bit of a boost. Perhaps a promoter talking about a fighter's greatness, even more so. Point for round 2 goes to.
I'll take that one.
Oscar Willis. Nicely done. Jed, you were great. But Oscar created some different avenues that I didn't even think about. The Jake Paul,
Look at
Mike
the
Tyson
confetti.
thing. Yeah, I don't know where this is happening. Is this you? Is this a
Casey,
UKC thing, or is this a movement thing?
No, my mum's just standing here on top of a ladder and she's just dropping on top of me.
Yay! Amazing. Well, let's stick with heavyweights. Let's talk about the Professional Fighters League, because as BTL was happening last week, I think on the tail end of it, PFL had a press conference, and we had Francis Ngannou up there. We had Renan Ferreira up there. We had, for a couple of seconds, Jake Paul up there. And every single media member, and maybe every single fan, I'm not sure, got a chance to ask questions. I feel like this press conference is still going on as we speak right now. I feel like it's lasted a whole week. But the fight is set for October. It's going down in Saudi Arabia. And this was the entire press conference. We didn't get any additional announcements. We knew Pacheco versus Chris Cyborg is happening, but this was the presser. So, Jed, I will start with you. A week later, we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. Are you any more excited for Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira after this press conference?
I'm less excited for Francis Ngannou and Ferreira. That press conference made me less happy about things because it was that this isn't sold in a press conference. Francis Ngannou has never been a dude who is going to sell something in a press conference like realistically. It's not the strength of his game. He is a damn good fighter and a captivating person with a fascinating story, but he's not going to say too much. And that's just not particularly given the other shit going on in his life, probably not his best situation right now. And the big talking point of that was Renan Ferreira maybe being misquoted, though being actually misquoted, actually appropriately quoted, but it's just kind of maybe a lost in translation moment where he's like, I'm going to deliver the worst thing that's happened to you this year when Francis Ngannou lost a child. That was the only thing that happened. And that's a bad thing. These two dudes don't need to get into a microphone. Just stand them next to each other. Frankly, they need to start standing them next to each other without shirts on. So you can be like, look, these are two gigantic dudes who are very clearly going to hit the shit out of each other. That's what sells this fight. I thought coming in that maybe Jake Paul, as the MC, would be the dude to get this over. And then he just pieced almost immediately. And so then it was just leaving the two fighters to do it. And they don't have that tool in the bag. This was a very a big mistake of a press conference. Ultimately, it's not going to matter. I care about this fight. I would like to see this fight happen. But this did not do anything to make me be like, I have to see it. It was God damn. PFL, we should have done better. Get Chris Cyborg and Pacheco there. They kind of have some actual animosity. Get something to give the people some reason to take note and not fall asleep.
I guess Cyborg had a personal issue or something, so she couldn't be there. So there's a reason why she wasn't there. So that's why. I mean, I'm sure we'll get something with the two of them. But Oscar, were you blown away by this press conference? Did this make you think, boy, get me to October because this is the one?
Well, actually, the sick joke is this fight is the week after my bare knuckle fight. So I will have been sober for 7 weeks and then have to fly to Saudi Arabia, a country I can't legally drink in. So no, it's not not super hyped on that, to be honest. But yeah, as far as the press conference, I had a couple of questions. First of all, I don't really understand the involvement of Jake Paul. I guess that he's got a stake in PFL and stuff. But if his whole gimmick is MMA and the MMA world hates me, why would you bring him to an MMA show to entice MMA fans to watch, right? Surely that would be the opposite reaction you're going to get. So I didn't really understand the logic of bringing him there, especially if he was just going to fuck off after 30 seconds and interview someone who isn't even fighting on that card. I thought that was a weird choice too. In terms of the actual, the heavyweights, yeah, like Jed said, the biggest talking point was when, Ferreira was misquoted / quoted accurately. And it was one of those questions you get sometimes at press conferences. Remember when Cody Garbrandt said, oh, TJ, you showed us all how to use steroids. And collectively, everyone in the room was so secondhand embarrassed. They didn't want to ask any other questions about it. Oh, that was weird. It was the same as that. It's did he just say what I thought he said? Let's not address that. Let's try and move past that as fast as we can and hope he didn't say that. I do think there was some audio issues in the room. It seemed like they couldn't really hear each other or the questions being asked. So maybe he just had that one locked Why he did, I don't know, but maybe he had that one locked in his head, ready to say that, and didn't realize he was saying it on the back of Francis mentioning his son. But yeah, I just think show him sweaty and shirtless and looking angry at each other, and that's about, you're going to get the same sort of value of it. I actually think for two guys who English is their second language, obviously Francis can talk it very well, you're better off just doing like an individual scrum. I think you'll get more insightful quotes from that than a press conference where neither one of them are going to go back and forth. The whole point of a press conference is to see two men talk shit to each other. So if they can't do that, don't do it, I think. And don't have Jake Paul there. I mean, he's good, he's a star and stuff, but I didn't really understand the value of bringing him there to go in a face-off, you know?
Here's what you needed to do. The actual way to sell this fight, and PFL, you're welcome to steal this and do it again. They don't talk because that's not important. They both need to hit something
Jake.
that preferably
Hit Jake.
like moves. I mean, sure, hit Jake. That would be that would be pretty tough. But like, you know, like you could just do like the punching machine. Just be like, hey, Francis, come up here and pop this thing. But like, just hit something. This should be like an NFL combine style. It's like, hey, look at this dude hit a cow and it falls over or whatever. Like, that's what you need to do. Just be like, he's tipping cows with a right hook. Like, that is fine. That is how you get it. It's like, holy shit, these two dudes like blew a door off the hinges with uppercuts. We got to watch them try and kill each other. That's how you sell this fight, not with them talking to each other.
I mean, what would you do, Oscar? I mean, we're talking about cow tipping and breaking vehicles with fists. How could this have been better outside of just having them face off and not having Jake there?
Breakdancing. It's pretty hot right now. I would have them breakdance. I think that'd be pretty cool. No, I think, listen, I
bet Francis can break dance.
I think if you do, like, look at the money they must have spent for that press conference, right? They obviously they had to build a stage, they had to fly Jake in, they had to fly all these guys in, they had to fly the media in, they had to fly a bunch of people in. So if you spend that money, you'd be better off, I think, spending that on like a very elaborate video shoot like they did for Conor and Aldo in Vegas, and showing them doing crazy feats of strength, not too dissimilar from when Saudi did one for Francis and Tyson, right? They had this like crazy elaborate thing. I think that's a better spend of your money than having two guys answer questions on a stage. I think I would put the money that way and show them doing wackier and wackier stuff. Like they're hitting the strong bell at a carnival, then he's picking up a boulder, and then he's got the world on his shoulders, and like making it super elaborate. Make this the cartoonishly big man fight. And I think that would probably draw more attention and more casual attention than, sorry, what was that question? I couldn't hear it. Repeat it.
Yeah.
Get a ballistics dummy. Let's make this real Forged in Fire where they got to do the thing and they just uppercut a ballistics dummy. And then some dude comes in and is like, his skull is cracked and his brain is bleeding out of his ears. Yeah, he hits pretty hard, guys. Like let's be creative, guys. Have fun.
Yeah. Dodgeball would have been fun too. One dodgeball, they sprint at it, see who gets it, and just chucks that thing at the other guy. You know what else you could have done, and it wouldn't have cost you a damn thing? How about announcing other fights on the card? Because I got to tell you,
what other fights do they have, Mike? Come on.
I mean, we know AJ McKee, Paul Hughes is probably happening, so I don't know. Maybe make that one official. How about some other fights that are going to be on the card? Like, we got nothing 2 months away from this pay-per-view event that you're probably going to charge $50 for. By the way, sandwiched in between two UFC pay-per-views. Who's going to buy this friggin' thing? We don't even know what else is going to be on this card. How are you not prepared?
Plus a BKFC event,
And yes, that's priceless. I mean, there's no doubt I'm missing that one. There's no chance I'm missing that one. So it doesn't matter. But come on, man. Give us something. At least with Oscar's announcement, that was like the cherry on top of the sundae. But they announced other fights. So at least we're like, oh, shit, we get Oscar versus Ben. This is awesome. Oh, but then these other fights are happening. Like, we know what we're getting. This, we have no idea. It's crazy. You got to be better. I don't want to come on the show and dump on PFL. I want to come on the show and be like, they did a good thing here. We want them to do well because it makes things interesting. But when you do this and it's an hour-long press conference and we get nothing but something taken out of context accidentally, It's craziness. It's craziness. Come on, PFL. This is your chance. This is your chance. What wouldn't be funny is Renan Ferreira knocking out Francis, because then they're screwed.
It'd be so
They're
funny.
in deep trouble.
It'd be so funny.
I know that's happening. That's how MMA works. That's the surest bet you can make, is that like all the best laid plans go to shit.
Oh my God. Well, they got 2 months to pump this thing up. So hopefully we get a bang. This should be their UFC 300. Every fight should be like a top 10 fighter. Everything should have significance. Everything should matter from
Johnny
start to
Eblin.
finish.
What's Johnny Eblin doing? Why isn't he fighting somebody on this card?
Give him anybody. Give him somebody good. I don't care who it is. Give him somebody ranked, somebody good. Oh no, Eblin's about to fight Fabian Edwards again, is he not?
Oh God, I hope not.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the fight.
I like how 75% of this panel don't know. It's just Mike. Mike's the only one giving us the information. The other two are just like, yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I think I wrote that up. October, maybe September, November. I don't know. It's happening sometime.
I'm looking. September 14th.
So there's back-to-back belly cards. That's right. So we get the Usman fight September 7th. So 2 Bellator cards in back-to-back weeks. It's gonna be fun. Right. Same day. Oh, it's same day as Noche as UFC 306, which is even better. I mean, just terrific promotion, just doing incredible things. But let's move on to something that a lot of promotion going on with.
Hey, here's this promotion that's dead. We're gonna put it heads up against the UFC 306, an event Dana White is promoting as the greatest live sporting event of all time.
Yeah. And a Canelo card.
Maybe that's the trick. Maybe at the Sphere they just show Bellator on the big screen as the UFC to get the best of both.
They show Johnny Eblin, Fabian Edwards just up on the Sphere.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that fight will be over before that starts, which is I guess some sort of positive we can look at. But let's move on to probably the most anticipated fight on the calendar right now for the rest of 2024. Besides Oscar Willis versus Ben the Vein Davis, round 3 goes to.
Mom, get the confetti.
Jed gets the confetti this time, 2-1.
Mom, what are you doing?
So many great ideas.
No,
where's your confetti? Hey! There we go. Guys, we talk about bad promotion and things that they're promoting for October. We don't even need promotion for this fight that we're about to discuss at UFC 308 for the featherweight title, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway, because these two guys don't need Dana selling it for them. They don't need anybody selling it for them. They're just kind of doing it themselves. Ilia Topuria is just on a smack-talking, trolling, just on a rampage right now. And I got to tell you, I'm loving every second of it. He's posing with the BMF title. He's talking all sorts of crap. Say he's going to put Max in the hospital if he points down to the mat. All sorts of fun stuff. So, Oscar, you're a fan of electric trash talk and trolling. Great Topuria's approach to building this fight with Max Holloway thus far.
Well, right. It goes again. It's like contrasting with what we were just talking about with how to promote a fight. You know, after Max knocked out Gaethje, I really was like, oh, he's going to beat Topuria, and I think he's going to do it quite stylishly. But if you just show me you dropping a sparring partner, I'll switch real quick. And now I decided Topuria is like really dangerous. That's all I need to see. I need to see you hitting another dude and it hurting them, and I'm all in. So I loved that Topuria showed us that. He looks so vicious. And then Max's reply of like, you think 300 was special, wait till you see this. This is one of those fights where there's no bad blood necessarily, but both guys are clearly, it's the old tale of, I don't hate you, but I'm just so much better than you, and I can't wait to show you that. And that's where a rivalry is born. I love those sort of build-ups, and this has got that written all over it. The BMF thing is funny because, right, Ilya really wanted that on the line, which is sort of an anti-BMF thing to do, I guess. But then to actually just get your own BMF belt, and if he just started carrying that around with him and saying, oh, Max was too scared to put his on the line, so therefore, right, he forfeited it, and now I am the BMF champion. There's some fun in that too. But yeah, man, I think the best fights don't need the best build-ups necessarily. This one just happens to have a really good fight and is getting to be a really good build-up.
Jed, we talked a lot about Ilya Topuria at the start of the year, right? Because he was getting ready to fight Volkanovski. He was talking all sorts of noise. He was calling Volk an easy fight. He was saying all these things that people were kind of chastising him for. He's changing the Instagram profile to, extending the record. He's the UFC champion. Like all of these things that other fighters have tried to piggyback on and have not been successful doing it. But Ilya Topuria is just having a year. Now he's doing essentially the same thing with this Max Holloway fight. Is he doing the thing? I know Caio Borralho didn't quite do the thing, but is Ilya doing the thing to ramp this thing up? Not that it really needed it.
100%. Because like what was left out there is, yeah, he was doing all that ahead of Volk, one of the 12 best fighters of all time. And then what did he do? Backed it all up. It was easy. It was actually pretty light work for Ilya Topuria in that fight against Volkanovski. And now he's doing the same thing. I mean, this is, not to make it too broad here, this is the Conor McGregor playbook. I am outspoken and popular, and I have a lot of charisma. And if I can just do the things I say I'm going to do and roll 7 when I need to, I'm going to be an enormous star. And if he goes out here and waxes Max, I mean, just puts him on a stretcher in the first couple of rounds, buddy, like he's the best fighter in the world, like the best fighter I've ever seen. If he can just knock out Volk and Max in back-to-back fights, and the sky's the limit. Like he is already trending towards being a massive star, and now he is fighting the biggest test for him in this weight class, and like a fight that is going to determine who the fighter of the year is. Whoever wins this is the 2024 fighter of the year in my book, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. And particularly if they win it in like dramatic, epic fashion, then it's extra. So he has done everything right to kind of keep promoting this, keep making this be the fight that we all know what it is in our hearts to be. Max on the other end, I haven't loved some of the stuff Max has said, but that's just my personal issues with the most annoying way that fighters motivate themselves. But this is still like Max is also doing his part here of continuing to play the game with Ilya, to prior to this fight being booked, staying active about it and being like, I don't know, apparently the Spanish dude don't want none. Like this is the biggest fight for the remainder of the year, at least probably not monetarily. Jon Jones, assuming he does fight Stipe, that's probably going to be the biggest business unless Conor does fight this year. But this is the biggest fight for people who know. For people who are watching this show, if you don't think it's Max Ilya, you are in an astounding minority of it. Because the rest of us are like, this is the fight of all the fights that can be made in the sport. There might not be one I would like more than this. So everyone's doing their part. To your previous question about PFL, that press conference didn't make me say, man, I need October to get here. Everything these two dudes are doing says, man, I really need this fight. Let's get to Salt Lake City tomorrow, please.
Well, I don't want to go to Salt Lake City when that fight happens because it's not happening in Salt Lake City.
Oh, wait, that's the Abu. Yep. Hand up.
I get the point for that, right? If he fucks up that bad, I should just get the point by automatic.
I mean, look, Jed.
We got to get to Salt Lake City so we can get to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm going to give Jed his chance here because as he was talking, I pulled this up. So I'm going to give him an opportunity because you talked about, yes, I'm not really a huge fan of how Max is approaching him, but maybe if I actually read the quotes for you, we'll get your true reaction to this. Max Holloway, in a recent interview with himself, essentially on his YouTube channel, about this fight. I can't wait. I've been going hard over the last few years trying to regain my throne. A lot of people laughed, but we'll see who gets the last laugh come October 26th. Also adds, a lot of people said I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be able to be fighting for the featherweight title again. And I'm here and I can't wait to get going. Camp is just starting. We're buckling down and I'm excited. And Jed, if there's one thing that I know about you, you love when fighters like Max Holloway play the underdog. You never believed in me card, right?
It's so silly. It's just, nobody said that. Not a human being alive was like, Max Holloway can never fight for the belt again. I know this because we had long conversations about we don't want Max to fight Ilya because if he wins, then he'll fight for the belt again. It was not that he couldn't. It was that the overwhelming likelihood if he fought other dudes is he will get to fight. And we've already seen him fight Volk 3 times. We don't particularly need a 4th. Nobody said he couldn't be in this position again. Sure, some people on the internet said stuff. People on the internet say literally everything. There are human beings out there who pretend that the world is flat. You don't need to give those people credence. Like it is the biggest pet peeve I have in the sport. And I know that many people are not here with me, but like, you can just be like, you don't have to be negatively motivated. And Max has never really struck us like me as a person like that. You don't have to be like, I'm doing this to shut up the haters who said I could never do this. You'd be like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this because I always knew that I could do this and that I could get back there, and had a couple of, unfortunate losses, but I stayed hard. And he says a lot of that, but it's all just kind of thrown out for me. And it's like, and nobody believed in me. Nobody thought that I could get back. No, we all did. Everyone agreed that you are one of the best fighters ever. And it is so hard for somebody universally beloved to be like, you all counted me out. No, everyone loves you. Everybody loves you for good reason. It's okay to just embrace those people and not be like, I'm here to stick it to the doubters. Like, it's ridiculous, man. I can't. Just please no fighter do that ever again.
Ilya's like the anti that, which is hilarious. He's like the complete opposite of Vulcan and Holloway in that regard. But Oscar, what did you think of Jed's reaction there? Do you agree with some of that stuff, or do you not care about this thing?
If he hates guys pretending they're the underdog, when they do Volk Holloway 4, he's going to be really upset because both of them will be trying to be like the guy who's being doubted, right? Those like both there. That's like their I don't mind it. I get whatever motivates you. I don't really care, but I do enjoy Jed's frustration at it. Yeah, for Holloway, it's an interesting one, right? Because I kind of disagreed with Jed until he actually made the point that after he fought Volk the third time, I do think there was an overwhelming sense of like, well, Max's era is done now, much like Whittaker was when Adesanya beat him. It's like, okay, we're done with you now. We're all Volk's best friend. And then to your point, when Topuria showed up, everyone was like, well, don't let Max fight him. He'll beat Topuria, and then we'll be back where we are. So it's like, it is a funny one. I think, yeah, I will give Max credit for this. When he lost to Volk that third time and said he was staying at featherweight and would make himself inevitable and would fight Volk again for the title, I think most people thought that with the UFC, the way they promote things, they're unlikely to do that fight for a fourth time. It didn't seem like they were interested in doing it. So it seemed like that was maybe a bad career choice for him rather than, say, move to lightweight. The fact that he stuck to his guns has forced himself a title fight. And if he wins the championship, will fight Volk again for a fourth time for the belt. I think that's pretty impressive manifestation that he managed to make that thing that I certainly doubted and I thought the UFC would never sign off on actually happen. So I'll give him credit for that.
Look at that. Differing takes. Love that stuff. Do you agree, Oscar, that because look, many people believe Alex Pereira is going to go in there and do what he does to Khalil Roundtree, even though Khalil is a pretty dangerous cat. Do you feel like if Alex goes in there and takes care of business and knocks out Roundtree, that's 3 title defenses, that's 3 quick knockouts, he saved 2 cards for the UFC, essentially, 2 of the biggest ones of the year. Is that enough to overtake the winner of this Topuria Max Holloway fight in the Fighter of the Year discussion?
I mean, you'd think so on paper, but then actually, like, Gaethje and Topuria would be bigger wins than I think all of Alex's. And then, Volk and Holloway, 2 generational GOAT-level talents of a division. Can't really ignore that. Then he'd overtake Jon, and Dana would have to have him shot. You know, it would just be, like, wild. So I think I think the winner of this fight will probably be... Also, like, dude... He slept him in the last second after pointing at the ground. Like, Holloway should just get it for that. I had, like, you know, sometimes, people don't really appreciate this, but sometimes when you go to the Apex to watch certain main events, you would literally rather die than be there. So when you get something like that happen in MMA, like he points to the ground, knocks him out, and it makes you feel alive. And you're like, oh my God, this sport does rock. Like, I kind of want to pay tribute to those moments. So I would have Max as my fighter of the year just for that. If he goes out and beats Topuria, even better.
Love that. Jed, any final thoughts on this discussion?
Winner of this fight is it. Like, it's Pereira will be number 2 if he beats Khalil, and great year. Like, not downplaying the unbelievable year, but beating Yuri again the exact same way, beating Jamal Hill. Although that may be my favorite moment of the year, it's just not if Ilya knocks out Volk and Max, just crown him. Like just give that man an actual crown to wear around. And if Max does kind of author this career comeback and get the belt again for the second time, is that right? For him, like that will just be like on top of what he did at 300 against Gaethje. This is the best fighter of the year. Like this is the fighter of that 2024 will be remembered for the most. And then Ferreira will be a very respectable number 2.
Interesting year. I can't wait for that freaking fight, man. Cannot wait for this featherweight title fight. It's going to be incredible. Next few months are going to be a lot of fun. Let's award this point, shall we? Point for round 4 goes to... I mean, it's Oscar Willis. I mean, come on.
He said Salt Lake. He was doomed.
Oh yeah, he was done. He was done right there.
I can't keep track of all this stuff.
I know it's a lot.
And
Thank God.
So much
Actually,
fly there, and I don't even remember where I am. I had a
it would be
connection.
way worse if this was in Salt Lake City at Elevation. We don't need that fight to have anything like that going on in it.
Yeah, I suspect there was a reason it didn't get put there. Maybe one of them.
Ferreira and Khalil will kill each other before Elevation matters, so it'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, Islam Makhachev not fighting in Abu Dhabi certainly changed some ideas as well. But that means, guys, it's knockout round time. 2-2. One question decides it all. 60 seconds each. I honestly have no idea where I'm going to go with this because it's an off week. But I think I have an idea. So, Jed, we'll let you decide. Price is Right style. Do you want to go first, or do you want to pass it on over to the future BKFC lightweight champion?
I do love that intro of, I honestly don't know where I'm going with it, but I think I have an idea. I'll go first. Screw it.
All right.
I'm super unprepared, so let's get it done.
Yeah, and so am I. So it fits the narrative of the show perfectly. So Dana White did not just make news for the Contender Series post-fight press conference. He actually had an Instagram live, I believe, last night, and said fight news was coming for a majority of names. Volkanovski, Charles Oliveira. He said Max Holloway, which I don't know why, because we already know the Max Holloway news. He mentioned Conor McGregor. He mentioned Michael Chandler. So we assume they're going to match Conor and Chandler up. There were reports coming out that Oliveira is fighting Volkanovski, which I'm told is absolute bullshit. But regardless, Charles Oliveira seems to be a name people are excited about. So Jed, 1 minute or less, I want you to tap into your inner Dana White and book Charles Oliveira's next fight. Who's Charles Oliveira fighting, Jed? Go.
Is this a serious question? It's Dan Hooker. I thought we all agreed that's what's happening. Like, this feels rude that I got to go first because, Oscar's boys with Hooker. But when Oscar talked to Hooker at their pub talks afterwards, it seemed like Hooker suggested that Oliveira was the name mentioned to him. That fight makes all the sense in the world. Sure, you could do the Gaethje fight, but I think that this is just it, right? Like, this is Dan Hooker got the big win to get himself into legitimate title contention. Charles Oliveira has to fight back. Charles Oliveira's already fought a lot of the dudes around him. There's no wrong way to eat the Charles Oliveira Reese's. Like, you match that dude up against anybody, and I'm going to be there with bells on. But Dan Hooker makes so much sense. Like, two of the more exciting guys of the last 7 years. It's guaranteed fireworks. And frankly, the winner of it can just get a title fight. Like, Oliveira's a former champion. He barely lost to Arman Tsarukyan. Actually, some people maybe even scored it for him. So, yeah, that's it. The fight. Boom.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you went first because you laid this out so easily. But we'll go back to Oscar because, oddly enough, Arman Tsarukyan just did an interview and said, hey, if I got to fight for an interim belt, I'm fighting that. I want to fight that dude. That'd be a lot of fun. So Dan Hooker is now coming out of Arman Tsarukyan's mouth as well when it comes to what could be next for him. So are you with Charles Oliveira versus Dan Hooker, Oscar, or do you want to go a different direction with Chucky Ovs and maybe Dan Hooker fights for the interim belt if Islam can't go sooner rather than later? Go.
Well, obviously, as a completely unbiased media member, if Dan got offered an interim title fight, I think he should take it. But come on, look, they both dye their hair bleach blonde. It's the battle of the blondes. It makes all the sense in the world. Dan's even got his tattoos now. It's like they're mirror images of each other. And I think it's one of those fights that Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira is fireworks from the get-go. Charles Oliveira doesn't have to worry about the takedown like he had to worry with Islam and Arman. So he can come back out in that crazy firefighting knees to the body style against the calf-kicking knee machine that is Dan Hooker. That's two fighters meeting in the middle and throwing down. What's not to love? And that fight will be so exciting, but we won't have to worry about hey, when it gets to round 5, like Hooker Gaethje potentially would, it's going to get uncomfortable. Two guys taking that much damage. I think Charles Dan is a fun, fast fight that should cement the next title contender for the Islam Arman winner. That's how I have it. Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira, December. Book it on the Conor Chandler card.
Love it. By the way, is that a new clock? Am I just dumb?
It was a new clock.
That looks incredible. Wow. We got
Casey upgraded the production.
What is happening here? This is incredible. Yeah, this is an Oscar Willis move right there.
We've got the star of BKFC coming home. We got to up our game a little bit,
Yeah, we've had an influx of new budget, so we got a new clock. Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
How dare you? Next week's show, I don't know if the production values will match, but we'll see. Next get your votes in.
It will be real. You'll have that much money.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll definitely be here next week. Don't worry about that. We'll have UFC fights to talk about as well. But cast your votes. Is it Oscar Willis? Is it Jed Meshew? Who gets it done? We shall see. Yeah, there's nothing happening. Are there any fights happening this weekend? What's Caposa talking about? There's got to be something to watch. They'll give us something.
I'll go down the strip and have a punch up if you want. Get in practice, Start
a
swinging.
little practice. Yeah. Old Vegas.
Break my tiny little hands.
I mean, there is just nothing. There's an LFA on Friday.
I like how we're all complaining. Fuck, I'd rather a week off than watching, I don't want to say any names, but some pieces of shit in the Apex. Fuck, this is way better. Please, I can go out.
I agree. Oh, no, I agree.
Go out now. I
was not complaining at all. That's just so real clear.
It's just for topical purposes.
Labor Day. Let's support it.
It is Labor Day weekend.
Support labor.
It is Labor Day weekend. Support labor. So get them in. Get those votes in.
We could talk about the oncoming street fight between Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones that they agreed to.
Yes.
I love how in jiu-jitsu
I love how in jiu-jitsu they're so weird they have to predetermine a grudge match street fight. So just to confirm, you sign off on if we see each other, we will fight. So okay.
It's like elementary school. Yeah. Pine Tree, 3:30.
Yeah. They're like, just so you know, so I have verbal consent that I can hit you.
Yeah. What?
Casey's here. Sleeves off.
Oh, there's a one on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's almost exclusively Muay Thai. Oh, it actually is exclusively Muay Thai.
God, we're so informed.
We sure are.
Shout out to GoBakuHitman.com.
Great promotion, everybody. We thank you. We let you know what's happening. Casey, does this mean there's a winner?
Yeah, we got a winner.
Hunter Azure Vince Morales is happening at a UFL.
UFL
in Arizona.
Team Cejudo versus Team Mir. Is that what they're with the
Shaman Rise still out there fighting?
Wow.
I'm just looking at Caposa's schedule of events now.
Shout out to Caposa. I mean, good God. If you need to know what's up.
Oscar, the next time Dana says John's the GOAT, can you be like, actually, it's Caposa? Because Caposa is the real GOAT.
Yeah, and Dana would literally just look at me like I've had a stroke. I'd be like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
Caposa?
There's boxing in Atlanta tomorrow.
Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
There's a zone boxing event tomorrow in Atlanta.
Oh, Misfits too. Yeah. Shit.
Oh yeah, Dave Fogarty's fighting at Misfits. I should have promoted him. Another Connor guy. Yeah.
Dave Fogarty's fighting. What? Really? Dave's fighting. Okay.
Yeah, boxing, lightweight title. Go get it.
All right, we do have a winner though. Today's winner with 56% of the votes. The BKFC lightweight, Oscar Willis.
Hey!
Bigger percentage than Brexit got. That's a very British joke there for you all. Yeah, thank you.
Also very topical.
Yeah. I'll just take this,
Very
then Journalist of the Year, then Outlet of the Year. It's going to be my year, guys. It's going to be fantastic. Trust me. Oh, and then I'll win a fight as well. I should mention that.
Yes. Oscar, you don't get a paycheck or a trophy or anything, but you do get to talk for 30 seconds about whatever the hell you want. So you can plug your fight, plug something else, talk about Dan Hooker being in your corner potentially, whatever you're saying.
Listen, guys, sometimes this sport, the schedule of it can wear you down. You know, you can feel like, man, we're going through a lot of sludge to get to that shiny, shiny good stuff at the pay-per-views. Well, things could be looking up here. You know, if we end the year on a Jon Jones, Conor McGregor back-to-back, this sport's flying again, baby. And if Dan Hooker fought Charles Oliveira on one of those cards as potentially the backup in case someone's get injured, as a personal fan, I'd enjoy that too. Then also on October 12th, I'm going to punch Ben in the face. He's going to punch me in the face. Something will happen. One of us will probably go, ow, that hurts, and give up. I don't know. They actually said it's 3 rounds, but there's a 4th sudden death round. If that happens, he can have it. I don't want to do 4 rounds. I'm very, very lazy. But it will be entertaining and worth tuning in. Do it.
Okay. Jed, how do you feel about the decision of the fans here?
I'm fine with it. You know, as long as I don't have to fist fight Oscar, I'm pretty comfortable taking this L. Because bare knuckle just doesn't seem remotely appealing to me, honestly. It just seems hard.
My mother's not hyped on it. My mum's not really big on the whole thing.
Yeah, mothers, you know, they want to look after their kids, and you're flying directly in the face of that instructive. So, good luck. I hope that goes well. I will be watching. It's now my 2nd most anticipated fight of the year, behind Ilya and Max. And also, just so we're 100% clear, that was Oscar, the voice of the Mac Life, close personal friend to Conor McGregor, basically breaking the news Conor McGregor is fighting after Jon Jones at the end of this year. So you heard it here first.
I said if. I made sure I said if. I made sure.
If we end the year with Jon Jones and Conor McGregor, breaking news, Casey, throw up the breaking news graphic.
Yeah, I made sure. Trust me, I've learned my mistakes. It's always if.
As reported by the Mac Life.
Yeah.
Oscar Willis of the Mac Life. Make sure you get
Willis.
that name in there.
And PTSD.
Anything else here? Anything else happening?
I need to go to train because I'm doing 2-a-days now.
You gotta
Don't know
go
if you know,
train?
I'm a
2-a-days?
professional athlete now. Professional athlete.
Sorry, I'm jumping in real quick. We have.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
We have
2-a-days. Why? Why 2-a-days? Who are you preparing for?
I think that's what you
Spain's
meant to
only
do.
training.
Oh, you motherfucker!
Oh, look at this.
You really thought, Mr. Oscar Willis, that I'd let you do an interview without coming on in?
You let MMA fighting get this scoop? You'd let them have us doing this? MMA fighting? Come on, bro. We should have saved this.
Listen,
anyway.
I'm quite charitable. No, we can do it multiple times, baby. I'm planning on doing it every night with you. You know what I'm saying? You won't go to bed without thinking about me.
I didn't know if they were true. How's Dublin? How's Dublin? My home city, even though you don't really know that I'm not Irish.
Your home city is fantastic. The Emerald Island is truly a very fun place to be. I actually really do enjoy it a lot. No bullshit. It's a solid place. And I'm hopping into a taxi now. Apologies, gents. Thank you. Yeah, for Ben. Beauty. Ugh.
Look at this.
But
man.
I'm staying ready.
here.
I'm staying ready.
Good.
Any final messages here before? I mean, this is the first chat here. I'm sure there'll be many face-to-faces coming from this. Ben, what do you want to say, man? You're in Oscar's territory here. You're planting a flag in Dublin right now, getting ready for October 12th, which is going to be here before you know it. What do you want to say to them, man?
Listen, I'm heading to the Black Forge Inn later tonight, and I'm going to take it apart brick by brick. I'm going to plant a photo of you, and I'm just going to piss all over it, baby.
Wow. I could have you killed.
Actually, the food's great. The food is incredible, and I can't wait to have a little pint, maybe.
You walk that back.
I fold.
Oh, what a moment. What a moment. We're a little over a month away, guys. Ben, how you feeling? No gloves? Shout out to Blaine Henry. I don't know if you saw this tweet, but he said, Ben has had a grappling match, a boxing match, and now he's got a BKFC fight booked in the amount of time since Jon Jones last fought, which is pretty wild.
We could also tack on Indian leg wrestling with Fight Circus in Thailand within that same time frame too. So it is crazy, the activity. And yeah, we can't forget the KC. My big win in KC.
Actually, it's statistical fact. Both Ben and I have more recent wins than Stipe Miocic.
It is true. It is true. Listen, what I keep hearing, you guys talk about this rumored, if maybe Stipe and Jon. I think the winner between Oscar and I deserves the Jones fight. I think Jon Jones versus Ben the Bane or Oscar Willis makes a lot more sense.
Certainly, Jon and I have similar lifestyle choices, so I'd be happy to meet him there too. But either way, in the cage, out the cage, I'll take him on either side.
That's what I like to hear. Either side, Oscar Willis, either side. But no, we like being active. I think Oscar's a great dude, man. This is going to be a ton of fun, and this build-up's going to be incredible. You know, we're giving you a sneak peek. I'm trying to fucking get the light right here. We're giving you a sneak peek, and the full entree is coming soon. You're getting appetizers. Heck, you're getting free bread at the table. I can't wait to give you the full steak dinner.
I will take your meat with good grace, Ben.
Ben. So Misfits, tell everybody where they can watch Misfits this weekend, Ben, before you get out of here.
Live, thank you. Live on DAZN, X Series 17, Danny Aaron's YouTube superstar takes on Premier League title winner Danny Simpson. It's going to be a truly, truly incredible matchup. I don't know what's going to happen in the main event because it's kind of like the old days of crossover boxing. Guys that haven't trained, guys that haven't fought before, but are willing to just lace up and get it going, which is what I can truly support and always be a fan of. So make sure you tune in. I'll be on comms all night long, and I can't wait for it.
Ben, you're the man. Enjoy your time in Dublin. Appreciate you hopping on for a couple minutes. We're going to get you on the actual show for the entirety. One of these days, our schedules will line up and we'll make this happen. But appreciate you hopping in. Any final words, Oscar, for our guy, Ben?
I thought Ariel had left MMA fighting. I didn't realize you were still springing surprise guests on each other. I didn't know that was the whole standard.
The site moves forward, baby. We move forward. We go onwards and upwards. But I figured it'd be a nice little fun treat. A little surprise for the winner of BTL this week. So, Ben, thank you. Oscar, you're the man. Congratulations on the victory. Hit the music, Casey. Let's get out of here. Shout out to Jed as well. Performed admirably as always. And shout out to Casey for just showing the pipes as much as possible. Appreciate you. Back next week. We'll get you ready for UFC Vegas 97. And we'll see what other debates can be had at a press conference following the Contender Series. For everybody else, I am Mike Heck. Back next week, the iconic voice special and takes you home. Good night, everybody.
This has been Between the Links, an MMA fighting production on the Vox Media Network.
Let's go! Woo!
Love y'all.